So, if I was to choose a logo, what you're saying to me is...
We're in the middle of a conversation right now.
Yes, we're in the middle of a conversation. Hello, everybody. So if I was to choose a logo, and so talk about that, it's more than just a picture or an icon. It needs to be part of the whole communication.
Yeah, what we were talking about was like, what does it mean when you get you create a logo, and like, let's say my logo is, oh my gosh, it could be a picture of a sunset.
Yeah.
I don't know, it could be anything. But it's not so much about what the logo is and what the logo says. I think it's much more about where the logo goes going forward. Like, how are you going to use that logo? How are you going to attach meaning to that logo?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make that logo something more than just an inanimate shape that someone made for you? Like, that's just a shape. So like Coca-Cola, right around now, I'm expecting to see like bears floating around on
Polar
ice
bears.
drinking Coca-Cola. And then I'm going to for sure see a Santa Coca-Cola ad. And so Coca-Cola has done a very good job attaching itself to a feeling, much less than the flavors of the Coke in the can. In fact, do we even talk about the flavors of the Coke in the can? Do we talk about the flavor of the beverage?
Not really.
No,
Just
you
that.
talk about the feeling and what the Coke means. What does Coke mean?
Yeah.
It's way more about what Coke means than it is like what Coke tastes like.
Because it's always, is Pepsi okay? That's where you get in there.
Well, I mean, people certainly have their opinion on Coke versus Pepsi. I'm a Coca-Cola fan myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we are here with Paul Carlson. Unfortunately, our last guest, Lori Zocco, had a personal appointment she had to take care of, and we were like, "What should we do?" And I was like, "Hey, I'd like to interview Paul." And so he's gracious enough. For those of you who don't know, Paul Carlson, president of 5 Star. And I have some questions. You don't know these questions.
I have no idea what the questions are.
So we were just talking about logos. So I was thinking about logos, and it's an interesting conversation. But here's what we'll do. Oh, I wanted to say that this whole live stream kind of adventure we're on, we called it Get Curious. Because there are, at least in my experience, and I'm sure in your experience, we get to have wonderful conversations with all of our agents, and it's really interesting. And you want to get curious. You're like, how do you do that, or how does this happen? How does this work for you? Because we're all so different. And so this is appropriate because you play a role in a lot of agents' lives. And I was looking forward to this. Not that we had to reschedule, but I was like, I wanted to get a little curious with what makes Paul tick and what's your role and stuff like that.
All right.
And so I didn't want to be selfish with this. And so I asked some people, some staff people and stuff like that, and I said, hey, is there ever a question you'd like to ask Paul? And there were.
Now I'm
a bunch
getting
of them.
nervous.
Yeah, I'm teeing you up. But the first thing I want to talk about is the icebreaker one. So I want to know, tell me about your latest, greatest purchase. There's an over-under on what you're going to say.
Okay, well, the latest purchase that I've made...
Well, you're the one that you just like, I love it, it's awesome.
Okay.
And how you did it, and tell me about that.
I bought the new iPad.
Oh, that was way off.
And I also bought I also have an exercise bike that I bought.
And a lawnmower.
And a lawnmower.
I was doing the lawnmower. I bet it on the lawnmower one. So
my life's
how's it
really
going?
exciting. I have an exercise bike. I've got a lawnmower.
So
and,
there's all kinds of technology. Why are you so excited about the iPad? What do you like about it?
Because I've got this new iPad, the new one that just came out, because I'm excited to sort of like get rid of my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that when you're on an iPad, it feels like you're more like in the device than you are kind of looking at a screen. So I'm excited to see. It's kind of like a challenge. Can I function without a laptop?
Mm-hmm.
And so far, I've been functioning perfectly. There was one hiccup where someone sent me a zip file that I could not open.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to a computer to unzip the file and then put it back into my cloud, and then I can access the files. But I'm still working through that kink as well. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
Are you enjoying it? You use
I love it.
A phone, FaceTime.
I use my I'm sort of an Apple person. I have, just because they play so nicely together.
Yeah.
That when you have one Apple device and you have a second Apple device and a third, like you can take a phone call, transfer it to your iPad, and then transfer it to your headphones, and then transfer it to your phone, all within just a couple clicks of a button.
As you're walking, yeah.
Yeah, as you're walking, yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
really, yeah.
That's
so
really cool.
The iPad's really cool. So
Okay, that's cool.
yeah.
Question.
Yeah,
from
we have a
Thomas
question.
Rice. It says,
Yeah.
Hi, Paul and Leo. Paul, can we talk about the admin fee that is waived for veterans?
Sure. Yeah. So the official stance on that waiving of that fee is that if they're getting a VA loan, 5-Star does not charge an admin fee on that transaction. I think that your follow-up question is probably going to be, why isn't it extended to every single admin or every single veteran out there? I guess the answer is because we haven't really. There's a lot of classes of people that I think are amazing and do amazing things, as well as veterans. Yeah. So we're doing what we can for veterans to help make that easier through whenever there's a VA financing, we do waive that admin fee. I know there are agents within the company that feel strongly about veterans, so what they'll do is they'll actually waive that admin fee for their clients. So it actually looks like it would be, say, coming from Thomas Rice, would be waiving it for them. Or I know that, who else does it? I think maybe Melinda Robinson. I think there's a couple people out there that do this already, where they're just kind of like, anyone who's a veteran, they'll waive these things for. So please feel free to send a follow-up to that. But
yeah, and a VA loan doesn't allow it.
Yeah, so we waive them for the VA loans. Yeah,
we wouldn't charge an agent.
That's the reason. Yeah, the VA loans definitely, they don't even allow the fee, so we just waive it as well.
So I have a question about your origin story. There, as you got into real estate, you're the president of 5-Star now. Some people, I don't think, know the story that you were a realtor and like how you started it, and I kind of tried to mentor you and stuff like that, and then you kind of went off and did something else and you came back. So I think some people have a misconception that you know everything was given to you, which isn't true. And so I'd like to hear more about your origin story when you come in for real estate.
Here's my quick origin story.
Good.
So I got into real estate in 2006, right out of college, joined the business, and immediately the market collapsed. Yep. I mean, it started collapsing. It started going like this immediately. Within probably 1 year of joining, the average conversation with people was about how much money they had in the bank or in savings or in equity to see if they could get out of a house. Yeah. So it wasn't until, and I was probably earning $25,000 a year, maybe $35,000 a year in my first 3 to 4 years in the business, because it was so tough. I was 21 years old. Mm-hmm. I came back from Chicago, had 0 people in my sphere who were buying real estate. So I did tons and tons and tons of open houses. The advice to me at that time was generally cold call, FSBO, you name it. You drove me around in your car. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You drove me around in your car mentoring me. I would jump out of the car. I'd run up to a door. I'd knock on the door. Yeah. And then I would like literally go when they weren't home. And I'd oh my gosh, my heart's racing, beating out of my chest home. And so like that was terrifying for me, going up there and sort of being on someone's front porch when they did not invite me onto their porch. They were just having a cup of tea, and here I am on their porch now. Yeah. And I know how that makes me feel. So I think that there's room for that, and I know a ton of people who've had success with it. And that's that's what I learned during this time about real estate, is that what works for one person doesn't go across the board. It doesn't work for everybody. Mm-hmm. Not everyone can run a team like John Kremer runs a team. Yeah. Not everybody can run an amazing sphere business like another agent. It's sort of, but this took years for me to come to the realization of. So I actually walked away from it walked away from real estate in like 2008 or 2009 for about 6 months, just to try and figure out what I wanted to do, because it was really, really brutal at that time. 67% of every single transaction closed was a short sale or foreclosure. Yeah. So think about that. Like 6.5 out of 10 closings were always someone was losing their house. Yeah. Was essentially the situation we were in. A bunch of agents at the 5-Star have gone through this as well. Mm-hmm. Then I got married around this time, and my wife and I soon after were expecting a baby. Mm-hmm. So that's when I was like, man, maybe I should get back into real estate. In the meantime, I started a photography business that took off and became something that I could live on. I could have lived on my photography business. Mm-hmm. But I realized I kind of wanted my weekends back a little more, and I wanted some more time for my family, and photography was just sort of consuming it, and it just wasn't good. And I was also still in real estate. So, but what I realized about photography was that something happened where I wasn't having to chase people down. People were actually coming to me looking to work with me. And that was like the first time I'd ever had an experience where someone came to me and was like, hey, we'd like to hire you.
Yeah.
So, is it working? So that was the first time that I had, like, people were coming to me on a regular basis to work with me. And so I said, well, how can I take that mindset and apply it to real estate? And that's the sphere business, right?
Yeah.
But back in the days when I was first getting to business, the only advice I was getting was cold call and door knock. And so I went back into the business, let go of real estate, ended up having my, like, probably tripled or quadrupled my business very quickly in real estate.
Photography.
Yeah, let go of photography, went back full-time into real estate, and just approached real estate like I would want to be treated. And so I treated people, I made my marketing materials maybe resembled Urban Outfitters at the time to try and communicate in a way that I thought people would want to be communicated with. And it seemed to work, so that was like my big aha moment, and that's my kind of like me coming back into real estate.
That's good.
So we have a question from Carrie Kiefer. She says, in the last 45 days of the year, what is Paul telling agents to focus on?
So, first off, I think that's a really good question from Carrie Kiefer here.
Maybe you should repeat it. I don't know.
So the question was, what are we advising people to do in the next 45 days?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I would probably do right now is maybe stop for a second, just take a few hours of the day to look at your entire business over the past 12 months, look at where all of your business came from, and be honest with yourself. How much of it was paid, how much of it was referral based or sphere based, and really try and understand your business. And then I think, and when you're looking at sphere business, like, if someone comes to you through your Facebook page and they're a friend of a friend, I still consider that sphere. That's not an internet lead to me. That's a sphere lead. That's an extended sphere lead. So break those out and just sort of really understand your business. And then I think what I would do is I would look at the areas where I was most successful, and I think I would double down in those areas. I think I would look and go, okay, so maybe I want to move away from Zillow, or maybe I want to move more into Zillow, but I would really start to look at what you want 2019 to be and really, really seriously plan out 2019. Okay, one thing I would say, Carrie, is that when you're sending out Christmas stuff this year, I would consider not spending your big budget on a Christmas gift for your clients right now. You may have already purchased them. The reason I think that sending a Christmas gift right now is maybe not the best use of funding or finances is because you're competing with all of the noise surrounding Christmas on every single avenue. You're competing on everything. Everyone's competing for Christmas attention. So what I would do is I would send a very nice Christmas card with a handwritten note thanking them and wishing them a wonderful year and wishing them many blessings in their home. And then I would probably save that money you were going to spend on a Christmas gift, and I would give it to them. I would send them something surprising on March 1. That's something I might consider doing.
This can kind of segue into another question, is that you meet with a lot of agents, and what are the things that you see as kind of distractors, and what are things that people should highly focus on? Any advice with that?
I think we get distracted. Honestly, with trying to understand SEO, trying to understand websites, trying to understand all of the technology that exists.
Okay. And
I think at the end of the day, when you look at your business, you look at everything like that. If you're on Facebook and you have a website, you're gonna get. I guess when I think of the word SEO, I was Googling SEO just yesterday to try and because we get this question all the time, how can I fix my SEO? And I think the question is, are you trying to appear, if someone types in Rockford, Michigan Realtor, do you want your name to appear there? If you want someone to type in Rockford, Michigan Realtor, or Muskegon, Michigan Realtor, or Kalamazoo, Michigan Realtor, that needs SEO. Or the best way to do that is just go buy AdWords and pay for that search. So anytime someone types in that search, you pop up.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do it organically through SEO. You're going to spend far more money with an SEO specialist company teaching you how to get yourself there naturally than maybe just either letting go of that or paying to put yourself there with AdWords or AdWorks. I think that you're far better off communicating with people who want to work with you. I think that 9 times out of 10 the search is actually Leo Olson Realtor versus Alger Heights Realtor. I think they're looking for you specifically. I think 9 times out of 10. So I think that the distraction is to spend all this time focusing on this technology that might connect you with people who might want to meet you someday. Versus trying to figure out, how do I become closer to those who will already support me, and how do I become closer to those people that will refer me, and those friends of friends. I think that's really truly where I think maybe most of our energy should be spent, not on the random Joe Schmo off the street through SEO type stuff. So I see a lot of distraction around technology.
No, that's good. Another question. This is kind of like, it's coupled together, but what drives you? How do you juggle all the stuff that you do, and why are you so passionate about this stuff? Where does that come from? This is a staff question.
Well, in high school, I was voted teacher tormentor and class skipper.
Okay.
So I was never, ever, ever what I would consider like a successful student. I was never a top athlete. I was always pretty average.
Okay.
And I think what happened was, to me, somewhere in college, by the time I got to my major, which was marketing and business administration, which is, I'm probably lean more towards marketing than business administration. But something happened where all of a sudden I realized, like, okay, so there's more to life than grades, and there's more to life than like people seeing you as successful on paper and in all these different areas. And so at some point I realized that like ideas were also had value, not just like being able to perform to a certain level that this grading system thinks you should perform at.
Okay.
So for me, I think finding my own confidence and strength that I did have something to offer, even though I was never seen as like a massive success throughout school.
Okay.
I think that it was really interesting for me to see that, like, oh, so ideas are helpful, and building relationships with people is valuable, and all these other valuable things sort of happened. I'm kind of getting a little bit lost here, but really what it was is it was more of I guess really more of an acceptance of who I actually am, and embracing that what I do brings some level of value, just like what you do brings value, just like what Dom does brings value. Every one of us can bring value. And I think I had to stop trying to be someone that I thought people needed me to be. And I was like, okay, how can I be the best version of what I can bring to the table? And I think that's what's really given me all of my energy, is just sort of like finding a way to live within my strength zone. And when I'm in my strengths, it actually gives me more energy. So
what are some of your strengths?
I think problem solving, I think challenging the status, challenging what we've done, kind of challenging ideas. I mean, I was called teacher tormentor in high school, so like I think I challenged the teachers to a certain extent. I asked the question why a lot. And it did not win me any favors throughout school at all. With my why
do you think that is?
I think that I have a personal view on school is that it's designed for a brain that can function in a certain way.
Okay.
School's designed very much towards people who think in like this memorize, regurgitate, memorize, regurgitate, memorize, regurgitate. And then if you can do that really well, you're seen as, wow, you're a success.
Okay.
But like no one taught me that like learning how to think was important.
Right.
And learning how to problem solve was important. Like it wasn't like there was no way to quantify that in school. So it was really tough for me growing up, never felt like I was good at anything. So actually I wore that almost all the way through college, that I was just like this average student, and I was an average individual, and it wasn't until I kind of got out into the workforce and started trying some things. And actually this was the big one for me, was once I got into my major at school, I ended up graduating the top of my class in that field and tested out of all of my final exams.
Okay.
Because they graded on a curve, and I ended up having like 115% in most of my classes, which was like the first time I was like, that's pretty cool. Like I think I have like I got like a thing that maybe I have a thing, Some kids are good at baseball. Maybe I finally have a thing. So that was cool, I guess.
And it's problem solving.
Sort of a weird, a weird roundabout way to answer the question, but
it's okay. These are
problem solving. I like to jump in and brainstorm. I love brainstorming ideas, and I never have an answer going into the brainstorm. I just enjoy sort of seeing what's going to come out of it.
Do you have to win in the conversation?
I think the best idea. I like the best idea to win.
Yes.
So
I think that's important.
I think what happens is when we go into a brainstorm and I'm challenging an idea, I think you need to make sure when you go into a brainstorm that you know it's not a personal attack on you. When someone maybe disagrees with an idea, if someone disagrees with my idea, or if I disagree with someone else's idea, it's not that I'm disagreeing with you as an individual.
Right.
It's that if we're building an idea, and I attack a portion of this idea, you have to make sure that that idea is not attached to your soul in some way. Otherwise, it's going to be a really painful brainstorming session. Because I challenge ideas, people challenge my ideas. I don't have to win.
But you want the best idea to win.
I want the best idea to win. I think that's why we're brainstorming.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's good. Knowing you, there's a couple things I know about you because we spent a lot of time together, is that you have an opinion or you have researched something, you have any topic I could throw out to you and you would know some nugget of information. And so is there podcasts you follow? How do you stay up on everything that you are into?
Well,
how do you stay in your strength zone?
I'm gonna be. I don't watch. We watch Netflix at our house. Okay, so we don't have TV. I don't do a lot of mindless TV watching.
Okay.
I almost exclusively watch documentaries.
Okay.
Almost exclusively documentaries, and then I also do a couple of TV shows. But I also, on my new iPad,
yes, I
do read the Apple News section all the time, and I curate my little feed over here. And I have this. I definitely have like a level of curiosity where I want to learn about things. And so like just last night or 2 nights ago, maybe it was, I was actually researching. You know, when you're like someone tells you about when you're reading about wine and they go, oh, very light tannins, or it's very tannic, or it's very this or that. I was finally like, I'm sick and tired of not knowing what those words mean. So I just logged in and I just was like researching those words. And then it's usually like once it comes in, it doesn't really exit out.
Right.
So I think I'm like a hobbyist about that kind of thing. So like I get really into food. I'm like really into like researching wine right now for some reason. I think I just know a little bit, and I research things. Like I bought a lawnmower that you mentioned, and like I watched YouTube videos on how to mow your lawn properly. Yeah. So I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
So that's a great skill. Let's turn that to real estate, where you go. You're obviously helping lead this company into the future. So I know that you go to different broker meetings around the nation and stuff like that. So can you vision cast a little bit about what real estate maybe, and what our brokerage does in the next 5 to 10 years? What does that look like to you, and what do you think your role would be? That's a tough one, but
that's a tough one.
That's a staff question.
You know, I think that I don't know what real estate looks like in 5 to 10 years.
Is it going to be Alexa, get my house?
I don't like. Okay, so that's that. Well, let's talk about that for a second. Like, so I was in Boston this past weekend. Yeah. And I did not go to NAR, but I was at another event with a bunch of brokers, probably 12 brokers, all different sizes. Some are 2,000 agents, some are 150 agents, but we're all just brainstorming together. And a couple of them were boasting about their Alexa app. Okay. And how you can go, hey Alexa, what's for sale in Grand Rapids now? Right. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm trying to be open-minded about it. I'm like, okay, so in order for that Alexa app to work, you have to download, you as the end user, has to download the Alexa skill for that particular brokerage. Okay. Then you have to know how to talk to Alexa to ask that particular skill what homes are available in Alger Heights. Yeah. And I'm going, my gosh, I would have just gone on to my computer and just looked. Yeah, you're like telling it how to search. Yeah, like I would have just loaded up my phone and just pulled up an app and looked on a map and seen what was available in Alger Heights. I don't think I would have asked Alexa to read me a list of homes that are for sale. But these brokers were they were it was like game changer for them. Okay. They were like, oh, it's going to be amazing, and I would love to know what anyone else thinks about Alexa in terms of real estate search. But come to find out, all it really does is it asks them for their name and number, and then it goes into a lead gen system, like,
Yeah.
and then they start getting phone calls and emails.
So you go to an event like that, and then what's your reaction as being one of the thought leaders in our company?
I think I'm, to a certain extent, you have to sort of like be protective, because everyone's throwing things at you.
Yeah.
There's every single technology platform, every single tech company, every single
Wants to make your life
everyone, every single person that you see at these events, like hundreds, thousands of them.
Yeah.
All of them want a piece of you and your company and the people who are at your company and all the agents, and they all want a piece of us collectively as an industry.
Mm-hmm.
And they all claim to have this like magic bullet, this silver bullet to fix our problems.
Yeah.
And to be truthful, the average adoption rate of any one of these technology platforms is 6% across the board.
Yeah.
So no matter what, whatever you buy, 6% of people at the company will use it. That's about average you see across the industry. So when I go to these meetings, I'm really more interested in, like, honestly, I'm like, what can we do to help agents? What can we do to equip agents? What can we do to educate agents better? What can we do to help top level agents?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do to, I'm really more interested in those conversations. So that's what I kind of focus in on, is what are we doing to be relevant to the agent community?
Mm-hmm.
That's my number one focus.
Okay.
What are we doing to be relevant to the agents who have chosen 5-star as their brokerage? How can we bring more value to them? How can we, certainly we drop the ball from time to time. I mean, maybe a lot. We're working every single day to try to not drop balls.
Right.
And that's really what I'm after. That's what I do in my position, is I'm trying to think every day about what is it in 2019 that I could do, and what can we do as a company? What events can we bring? What topics can we talk about?
Right.
What ways can we challenge them? That's the thing that I'm thinking about.
So is that kind of answers the question, is that, and I'll say some nice words about you, is that as an agent part of 5-star, I want someone like you that is going out there and looking out about how to cut through the noise and go, will this really help me? Will this not help me? This is a distraction. Is this good? How can I do this? And stuff like that. And so in 5 to 10 years, I don't see your role as changing, as being that thought leader and that, I don't know, helper? I don't know what the word is.
I kind of just,
I like thought leader.
I don't really think of myself as a thought leader. I think of myself, I really see myself as, like, what do you have going on? Like, literally anyone in the company could call me right now, and I would say, what's going on? What's your problem? Let's set up a meeting. Let's talk.
Now, we say that. You really mean that, though.
Audrey Reinberg emailed me today, set up a meeting. Micah Childress emailed me today. I'm going to talk to him on Tuesday. Okay. I've got to call Audrey back to set up the time where we're going to grab some coffee. This is a regular thing.
Those are big names. Anyone can call you.
Caitlin Grant called me last night and today because she ran into an issue where she had 2 offers on the table.
Right.
And one of them was a lowball offer by $10,000 with $6,000 towards closing cost concessions.
Yeah.
And then they got a perfect offer that came across, everything they wanted, and their buyer said, take the best offer right now. I just don't even think, sign, let's go. Well, the offer over here that came in that was $16,000 low, all said and done, was upset because they did not have a second chance to come in to compete.
Right.
But so anyways, I had to talk Caitlin through that because she felt like, did I do something wrong? Was I supposed to give them another chance? The truth is that you don't have to. The truth is that when both offers come in, you can't expect that you're always going to get a second chance.
Especially in this market.
Especially in this marketplace. And it's ultimately up to your buyers or your sellers. Mm-hmm. And if your sellers say, hey, we love that offer, take it, let's take it. But this is like, I can remember this word for word, but this is so what I will say is I see myself more as like, I want to get into the ring with you and figure out the problem you have going on. Whether it's, I need to help with, if you called me up and said I need help with contracts, I would probably sit down, but then I would also connect her or him with somebody who could walk through contracts better than I can, because I'm not the best at everything. There's lots of things that I'm not very good at.
Or like branding and logo, like we were talking about when we first started.
I'm really more of like,
that's a good.
I'm really more like, if you're here on your path and you want to get to there, how do we get there?
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do that with
and
anybody.
Your problem-solving skills and your ideas.
Yeah.
These are your strengths. This is your wheelhouse.
Anything I have in here is yours.
Okay, that's really great.
Yeah.
So let's kind of let me ask you this, because we're going on our 30 minutes, and I want to honor your time as well. Yeah. Do you have any Do you have any advice for like an agent who's been in the business, like say 18 months, or the same agent who's been in it for 7 years and goes, how do I get to the next person? Is there any word of advice for those two demographics? They're going, we're here, I want to get here.
Well, see, what I see a lot of is there's kind of like this split where like you have agents that are coming in that are newer to the company, seem to be very, very like, typically they're very like social media like savvy. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that anyone who's been in the business for more than 10 years is not.
Right.
But oftentimes I see like I get questions from agents who maybe have been in the business for 15, 20 years, and they're like, "Hey, I don't really understand Instagram. I don't really understand Facebook. Like, how can I use this?"
Yeah.
And I think that my advice across the board is that people are still the same, but the mediums of communication have just shifted. Mm-hmm. People are the same, and all Instagram is, all Facebook is, all these things are, all email, text, Facebook messaging, all it is it's people communicating. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is, if to the agents that have been in the business for a while that want to take it to the next level, that maybe aren't utilizing social media as much as they could, stop thinking of it as an advertising platform.
Okay.
And start thinking of it as a communication platform. It's a way for you to say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Send a Facebook message. This is one thing that I think everyone could do easily. Get up in the morning with your cup of coffee, get on Facebook, and go to your Facebook Messenger, up in the corner, click the Messages tab, and literally send 20 messages. "Hey, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, I saw that you're, just whatever, doesn't matter what it is. Just say hi, ask them how they're doing, and just stay connected." It's so easy to get caught up in the business and not communicate with people. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to get caught up being busy and get not even distracted, but you get caught up in the business. You forget that like this busy work you're doing on paperwork, it's all important. But this is really important for the transaction you're doing now. But if you forget about all those other things all those people you were connecting with, those relationships, you let those relationships go, they likely won't be loyal forever.
Yeah.
You have to stay connected with them, and I think saying, "Well, I don't do Facebook," I don't think that's a good response, because there's almost 3 billion people on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's not just for young people. In fact, young people are using Facebook less and less. They're moving on to Instagram and other platforms. Yeah. So actually, Facebook is becoming mom and dad's platform.
Who will be buying houses?
Who buy and sell a lot of houses.
Yeah.
So I think my advice is generally, going back to what Carrie said earlier, like what should we do for the next 45 days?
Yeah.
I think looking at your business and figuring out where all your business came from, and then going, what could I do better? What did I forget to do this past year? Like, did I really reach out to people?
Right.
Did I really, really, really connect with people? Or did I just send some junk mail? Or did I just send a couple of postcards? Was there a way that I could connect differently or better?
I think that's really insightful, because a lot of times we get caught up in advertising versus communicating. I think those are really different things. Mm-hmm. And we think advertising is communicating. I can send out this blast newsletter and I'm connecting. And you're not.
The world has certainly changed. I mean,
not that it doesn't work, but I'm like, call it what it is. This is what it is. It's a forget-me-not.
So for anyone, look at this, Leo. For anyone who sold real estate before the year 2006.
Okay.
Before like Facebook was a thing, before all these other things. Back when there was, as a whole, 5-star collectively, as a whole, 5-star would spend $500,000 in the paper, and on the GR press in a given year. Yeah. It's like $15,000 now or less. So that's how much has changed from 2006.
I would say, is it even that much?
It might even be less than that. But back in the day, you could post your listing in the paper, and you would get like maybe 5 to 10 phone calls looking for information on that listing.
I used to run ads.
Yeah,
free list of homes.
Remember, spending $100 to place an open house in the newspaper was like no big deal. Yeah. It was just like standard part of the business.
Had to do it.
But I think things have changed.
Yeah.
And I think that as people and as business people, we have to adapt. And so that's all it is. I just think that too many people are getting distracted by technology. They look at Facebook as technology when it's really just a communication platform.
Yeah.
It's like sending a phone. It's like phone calling someone. It's like sending someone a text message. It's sort of like this It's a living, breathing communication platform. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it does. It's great. Dom, are there any other questions that kind of came in?
Yeah, so we have one from Micah Childress. It's for Paul. He said, "Do you ever get the itch to get back into buying/selling real estate as your primary gig?
So,
if you were to do so, would you try to build a team or fly solo?"
So to repeat the question, Micah asked Paul, does he ever get the itch to get into, selling and buying real estate? And if he did, would he go solo or would he do a team?
All right. Right now, I don't have the itch to get back in. I think that there are definitely, what I miss from the transaction is literally someone going, "Man, Paul, thank you so much for the help." It was I miss that, the thank yous. I miss people saying "Thank you so much, you were so helpful," and posting about it on whatever. That made me feel good. I felt like, man, I did a good job.
Yeah.
So I definitely miss that sort of high-fiving and all those types of feelings you get from a closing and from helping someone get their dream house and helping them get out of the situation they were in. I definitely miss that.
Yeah.
If I were going to get back into the business, I would need a team.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you that administratively, I would need an admin person, 100%. Mm-hmm. I could not do it on my own. I mean, I could get by. I wouldn't get by very well. I wouldn't be able to grow my business really, really well. I would probably let a lot of balls drop, and I would I'd probably just be a mediocre middle road, decent realtor on my own, which is I did this for a while previously, but then I had an admin person, which was a lifesaver for me. Yeah. But now I would have a very dialed in admin, and to be honest with my family, I would probably consider looking to see what a buyer's agent would look like in my life, just because. Mm-hmm. When it's hard for everybody when you're juggling everything.
In young child season.
Yeah, I'm in young child season, so I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old. My daughter turns 8 on Friday. Josephine turns 8 on Friday. Clara's 5.5, and Frankie is about 7 weeks old. So the prospect of, but then there's trade-offs too, because someone like Andy Smith was on where he's like, "Man, I have breakfast with my family every day." Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. That's amazing. Yeah. And for him it works well. He gets to work really this one really late effective time of the evening. So I would build it around what I needed for my family. Mm-hmm. But I would not try and build a mega team. I don't think I'm cut out to be a mega team leader. I think I'm more cut out to build a small, sort of really kind of intimate, sort of really well-tuned, friendly, small team. Me, one buyer's agent, and a admin. That's probably my dream team.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Dominic, any other questions for Paul?
There was one regarding VA loans.
Is it?
It's Thomas Rice.
Yeah.
We can take that off.
Yeah.
Record if you want.
Maybe. What's the question?
It's so 5-star only waives the fee because VA does not allow it. Yeah. Yes. My follow-up is, why doesn't 5-star support veterans and waive it across the board as long as they can supply documents supporting they are?
I think that's a really good conversation for you and I to have, Thomas. I think that to follow up on the VA question, I would ask. I guess I would ask that you come and meet with me and hear us out. I believe that we do support veterans. I believe that we do support lots of types of people and organizations around the area. So I think that we probably need to have another conversation about it. And I would love to hear your side, and I would love for you to hear our side. And I really don't think there is a side, honestly. I think that we always try to do everything that we can to try and keep everyone's fees low. We try to be as efficient as we can. I can tell you, Thomas, there are some really awesome people within the company right now that are doing amazing things for veterans. I see it, Thomas, as maybe an opportunity for you to carve out a niche for yourself in that market potentially. But I think that we could have another conversation about it, and I really do welcome it. I know I reached out to you on the last post about this. I said, hey, I'd love to set up a meeting with you. So I do invite you to set up a meeting, and let's do it. Let's meet about it.
That's great. That is you. That you're going to talk about this idea, right? Yeah. And you're going to explain it, and you're going to listen, and you're going to have a conversation, and then you even in your ideas, you're like, this could be an opportunity for you. That's really great. So yeah. I'm really thankful and glad that you no longer do photography. The very 5-star. But thanks, Paul. And you want to do the high five?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sweet. Thanks, everyone.
See you guys. Thank you.